We're at the intersection of Rainbow Spring Road and Lovell Canyon Road in Lovell Canyon. We're at the entrance of Lovell Canyon, pretty much between Las Vegas and Pahrump. And here is Landmark Bluff. We've done a complete circuit around the bluff. We've checked out the roads on the western side of the bluff. Today, we're going to circle around the south end, and then somewhere in the middle on the west side, this is the east side, on the west side, opposite side of this bluff, we're going to take a look at summit approaches and potentially traverse the summit of Landmark Bluff. It's a huge feature, and the reason I call it Landmark Bluff is you can see it from just about everywhere near Lovell Canyon. You can see it from, for example, the summit of Griffith Peak. At the upper end of Lovell Canyon, you can see it from the summit of Harris Mountain. You can see it from the Rainbow Mountains Upper Crest Ridge Line, which is that ridge line that we're looking at. And then further up the ridge line, there's a connection with the Wilson Ridge Line, which is even higher. There's the Wilson Ridge Line. You can see Landmark Bluff from just about everywhere. In fact, you can also see it from under the sunrise. There is Potosi Mountain. And definitely, if you're looking for the entrance of Lovell Canyon, you're on Highway 160, heading outside of Las Vegas toward Pahrump. There's a little sign that says Lovell Canyon Road. You can miss it very easily. But if you look at this bluff, you look at Landmark Bluff here, you can easily find the entrance to Lovell Canyon. So anyway, we're going to see if we can get to the summit today and just explore this 5-mile long massive summit of Landmark Bluff. Here we go. Now, one thing to note is that, yes, you can be on Lovell Canyon Road, head down around the south side of Landmark Bluff, or there's this little wash that is unmarked, and it parallels Lovell Canyon Road. Now, if you want to avoid a lot of traffic on the road, during heavy traffic times, there are RVs and pretty noisy dirt bikes, lots of them on this road. And as you can see, there's almost no shoulder in places. So I don't like to walk or run Lovell Canyon Road. What I do is I take the parallel wash, and it's actually a road that'll take you down to Highway 160, where we're going to turn right onto a Powerline Maintenance Road and circle the south side of Landmark Bluff. Here we go. As you can see, this wash road has been very nice. Runs parallel to Lovell Canyon Road. Down the lower eastern side of Landmark Bluff. And you see the power lines here. That's the key, to be watching for the connection with the Powerline Maintenance Road, which runs along those power lines. That road, which begins right here, is going to take us along the south side of Landmark Bluff. Here we go. In this video, I'm also going to point out summit approaches not taken. And as you can see, if you look at Landmark Bluff, this is the east side. There are a lot of vertical areas between the base and the summit. And these ledges that don't look too difficult can actually be, 20, 30 feet when you get up to the base of the ledges. But as I said, summit approaches not taken. Here's one. You see at the northern end of Landmark Bluff, there's a dip, and right in this area would be a potential summit approach. And it could actually be definitely less miles to get to this approach. There might be a few little rocky areas before you hit the summit. I didn't choose it because I didn't want to get all the way up there and find that I was at a rocky ledge. I found some much better summit approaches on the west side, the other side of Landmark Bluff. So let's go ahead and continue along Powerline Maintenance Road, and we're going to skirt the south side of the bluff and then turn right, head north up what I call Westside Road, which skirts the west side of the bluff. Here we go. This Powerline Maintenance Road, as I mentioned, skirts the south side of the bluff. Just want to mention a couple things. One is that here is the Nopa Range coming into view. We'll explore that at some point, the not too distant future. But one thing I wanted to say, when you head around the south end of the bluff, you are leaving the regulated area of Lovell Canyon, which is right over here to the east. And when you leave the regulated area, you're in an area that has been populated by and used by target shooters. Number of makeshift gun ranges along the road, and all the gun ranges are between the road, this road, the Westside Road, and Lovell and Landmark Bluff. Now, the reason I'm saying this is that the first time that I circled the south side of the bluff, fortunately, it was a non-target shooting day. And wow, I found targets way up the base of the bluff. So that means that I could have been a target. You do not want to be between this road, Powerline Maintenance Road and the bluff, and between the Westside Road and the bluff. So if it is an active target shooting day, which is mostly during the weekends and holidays, yeah, stick to these roads as you circle the south and the west side of the bluff. There are a number of target shooting pullouts, and as I mentioned, each one has a makeshift range that aims about as far as halfway up the bluff. So no, stick to the roads on target shooting days and you should be okay. In fact, I'd almost guarantee you're going to be okay. But anyway, yeah, let's continue along the south side of the bluff. I'll show you a few shots of the south side and we'll look at some more potential summit approaches. As you can see, No real summit approaches unless you are a hardcore rock climber with experience and equipment. No summit approaches on this area of the bluff. East, southeast. There's only one potential summit approach on the south side, which I will describe when we get there. Here we are at the southeast corner of the bluff, and where you can see, you can look up toward the eastern side of the bluff, but more importantly, now you can see what you're looking at on this southeastern side. Lots of vertical areas near the top. So yeah, I would not prefer any of these as a summit approach. However, there is one summit approach a little further on down. I'm going to point out and also explain why you might not want to take it. Okay, let's continue on down Powerline Maintenance Road, which runs parallel to Highway 160, which you can see right here along the south side of Landmark Bluff. And as you can see, it's a very good road here. So if you want to park in Lovell Canyon, as I did, in order to avoid having your car exposed to Highway 160, I had it vandalized once. It was too close up at the Mountain Springs trailhead. Park where I did, a little further up Lovell Canyon, and just take this streamlined route around to the other side, the west side of Landmark Bluff. Okay, now we're nearing the southwestern corner of Landmark Bluff. And as I promised, I'd show you a southern summit approach and why you probably don't want to take it. But here is a view of the south side of Landmark Bluff. And you see the cliffs that we saw before from the southeast area on Landmark Bluff. And you see, wow, lots of vertical areas here, but there is one potential summit approach that you might not want to take. You could go up this gully right here on the southeast corner, right before the southeast corner, and that gully looks very good. And you can ascend from that point, which I have done from the other side. But the problem with that is that you reach this high point and there's a divot here, has some vertical area, and then as you can see, if you want to continue along the summit, you got to deal with some serious vertical cliff action. And so I don't think this southeast corner of the bluff is going to get you very far. You'll be able to traverse the south side of the bluff. That's great, but it ends after a while unless you're into more serious rock climbing and you want to get past this area. And there is a way that you can skirt the other side of the cliffs, but it's exposed, loose rock. It's going to take a long time. So if you've got more time and you just love to do that kind of thing, then have at it. But I'm going to show you some better summit approaches. So let's continue around this southwestern edge of the bluff. By the way, maybe you don't do long distance adventures and you're thinking, hey, I could just drive Powerline Maintenance Road, save time. Well, you better have a good four-wheel drive, high-centered, and definitely don't take your low ride car on this Powerline Maintenance Road, or even that wash road that runs parallel to Lovell Canyon Road that we were on earlier. So as you can see, there's quite a high center to this road. Okay, next point is going to be where this road connects with the Westside Road, and I'll give you a quick summary of the west side of Lovell Canyon. Here we go. Okay, a better perspective on that South Summit Approach gully that you may not want to take. Here you go, right up this gully, and yeah, you're good until you get to this point. Well, even, you take a right along the south side and continue on, and though it's a little steep in places, especially to the base of this, yeah, it's okay, it's doable. But then you can see where it just suddenly drops off, and then across that little saddle, then you got the cliffs. So yeah, I did that once, and do not guarantee it as a preferred summit approach to Landmark Bluff. It'll get you up there where you can look around and get a pretty nice view, but it won't get you along the entire length of Landmark Bluff's summit. Here we are approaching the intersection of Powerline Maintenance Road, which you can see crosses this road and continues on. So this is what I call the Westside Road. And the only reason I name these is because I can't find names for any of them. Maybe these names will stick. That's not really important to me. I just want to be able to describe what we're looking at. Now, here's some things that you can see from this point. First of all, yes, Westside Road continues up along the west side of Landmark Bluff. And you look over here, and beautiful view of the Mount Charleston Wilderness. And Charleston Peak is in the clouds there on the left. Then over to Griffith Peak, and then down a saddle, and then up to Harris Mountain. Griffith Peak and Harris Mountain and that saddle are the upper end of Lovell Canyon. But here you get a much larger perspective. And let's just see where we are in terms of Highway 160. There you go. There's the intersection of the Westside Road and Highway 160. And you say, well, why didn't you just drive over to the this intersection on Highway 160, park there, or park up here, and head up Westside Road? Yes, you could, but of course, we're not doing things the easiest way, but I just wanted to get a much larger view of Landmark Bluff. And there you can see the southeastern corner of the bluff. And where the east side of the bluff is pretty much a straight line, the west side is much different. The west side has a number of canyons. There are actually 5 canyons that I've counted And again, I've named them all just in order to point them out. And I'll describe them right now. The first one is what I call Cave Canyon. There's a really interesting limestone cave, huge cave in this canyon. And I'll get a close view of that cave and how to get there when we get up that far to the entrance of Cave Canyon. Then Mule Spring Canyon, and I call it Mule Spring Canyon because there is a spring in it called Mule Spring. So that's a pretty natural name. And then beyond Mule Spring Canyon, which is the second canyon, you can see there's a hill up here, and skirting between that hill, you can see a kind of an opening there between the hills. If you look straight at, there's the Wilson Ridge Southern High Point. You see all these where we stood on them and how to get there on LasVegasAreaTrails.com. But yeah, you pass the entrance of Mule Spring Canyon, and there's what I call the shallow Summit Approach Canyon. It's a long, shallow canyon. I guess it's not even a canyon, but that's where we may summit Landmark Bluff today. And then beyond that is what I call Chute Canyon. There's actually a road splitting off the Westside Road that leads into Chute Canyon, as there is another split that leads into Mule Spring Canyon. And Chute Canyon does have a gully chute that looks on the map very gradual, most gradual at the upper end of Chute Canyon, that takes you right up to the summit of Landmark Bluff. That's probably why that road's there, breaking off the Westside Road to into Chute Canyon. And then the last canyon, the fifth canyon, I call Northwest Canyon because it's on the northwest. And there is a steep summit approach on that northwest canyon. Loose rock, very steep, but looks very doable too. And as a matter of fact, Mule Spring Canyon, the second canyon up, does have some summit approaches. We'll look at those as we get there. Now, this is the Westside Road. It circles around, and it circles around the left side of this hill up ahead and connects with CC Spring Road. Now, the entrance of CC Spring Road, a little further south from here, and it makes a big circuit of Landmark Bluff and actually connects with Lovell Canyon Road just about a mile or so from the upper end of Lovell Canyon Road. So yeah, and all these roads are unpaved. You just want to be careful, even with a four-wheel drive. I've met people on these roads that have flats, and you're in the middle of nowhere. It can be a pretty dire situation. So have really good tires, have a high-centered vehicle, four-wheel drive, and you shouldn't have any trouble on these roads. But just be prepared. Okay, onward. And by the way, what are those mountains further west? And this is looking pretty much straight west between the Nopa Range and I guess the Mount Charleston Wilderness. Up here, we've pointed that out. But what is this range straight ahead? I think it might be the Black Mountains on the east side of Death Valley, you know, where you have Dante's View and um, Mount Perry, and you can see those adventures on LasVegasAreaTrails.com. And then on the other side of Death Valley is the Panamint Range, and sometimes you can see a very dim view of the Panamint Range, even Telescope Peak from this point, but things are just way too hazy at this time. But that would be the very, very dim range in the distance there. And maybe you caught a glimpse of Telescope Peak. I can't see because there's too much glare on this screen. So, okay, let's head up the Westside Road. Okay, as I mentioned, there are a number of target shooting pullouts on the west side and the south side of Landmark Bluff. As you can see, it's not very well maintained. In fact, it's not maintained at all. A lot of junk along here. But just thought we'd take a look at this first pullout on the west side of Landmark Bluff. I won't go to all of them, but just to give you an idea. Yeah, as you can see, again, pretty messed up. If I were a target shooter, I would clean this up. But anyway, yeah, the shooting starts here, and it can go halfway up the Landmark Bluff. So on an active target shooting day, definitely stick to the roads. Now, the first adventure I did on Landmark Bluff, I didn't realize that these ranges were here, and so I was actually skirting that area right downrange from the target shooting. And it was fortunately a weekday, a Friday, like today, first Friday in December. And there was no target shooting happening. If you want to see and hear some target shooting, look at the Landmark Bluff Circuit Adventure on Las Vegas Area Trails, and I show a little of the shooting later in that video. Anyway, yeah, there are a number of these pullouts, and people, camp out here and shoot during weekends and holidays. As I mentioned, first Friday in December, so no target shooting. Also, little note about the temperature. It started out in the high 20s, low 30s. I think it's warming up a little, or maybe I'm just getting used to the cold. I don't know which it is, but yeah, can get pretty cold out here. This is actually warm for the end of fall and where winter is beginning. Okay, here we are at another target shooting pullout, but we are at the entrance of what I call Cave Canyon. That's the furthest canyon south on the west side of Landmark Bluff. And the reason I call it Cave Canyon is this very interesting cave. Actually fairly huge, but from here it looks a little smaller. On my first Landmark Bluff adventure, I got some good shots of that cave from the south side of Cave Canyon. Now, you can see that this canyon is pretty much surrounded by vertical walls. So it's not really the best summit approach canyon. Now, if you wanted to take the time to climb the vertical walls, yeah, maybe you get up to the summit, but that would eat up a lot of the time you want to spend on the summit. So um, anyway, Cave Canyon at the southwest end of Landmark Bluff. Okay, here's another perspective on Cave Canyon. And yeah, the cave is right up here. And there's actually a little road that will take you to the base of that cave. And then there's another road that will take you right up the side of the mountain to the cave opening. I guess if you've got a real tough four-wheel drive vehicle. But here is a perspective on Cave Canyon. There you can see further back into the canyon. Note the high walls that surround this canyon. And here you can see a couple approach gullies right up in this area. And yeah, you could get up to this summit line. I showed you the summit line from the other side, the south side, and that gully that I said, yeah, don't take it because you get up to this point and then you have to deal with some real vertical areas. So yeah, we're not going to, and I did that before, the first adventure on Landmark Bluff. So anyway, yeah, Cave Canyon, and the next canyon is going to be Mule Spring Canyon. We'll take a look at that. And here's that little road that leads to the cave. And actually, I just noticed it extends further into Cave Canyon. So you can go pretty far up into Cave Canyon. Maybe there's some summit approaches up there. I don't know. They'd be around the corner. And that's not the way we're going today. But yeah, Cave Canyon. Okay, on to the next canyon north, Mule Spring Canyon. Okay, here we are at the divide in the road, and the right branch takes you into Mule Spring Canyon. Here is the entrance to Mule Spring Canyon. And the thing about this canyon is on the south wall, as you can see, a lot of vertical area. Toward the middle, more vertical area. But further in, there are some potential summit approaches. Now, if you were to take this road into Mule Spring Canyon, it's going to end in about a quarter mile around this corner, around which you cannot see right now. Where it ends, there's a little trail that'll take you to Mule Spring. Little palm tree there, and yeah, as you can see, there are no palm trees in the desert unless you're at a spring and a water source. So up in Mule Spring Canyon, there is Mule Spring and a palm tree. So that's the second canyon. As I said, there are some potential summit approaches up further in the canyon, but they are rather steep with loose rock, and you could make it. You might be able to weave around and get up to the summit, but it's not my preferred summit approach. After Mule Spring Canyon, circling around the left side of this huge hill, there will be what I call shallow summit approach canyon. And we'll take a look at what I thought from an earlier trip here is the most gradual summit approach to Landmark Bluff. So let's just see what we can see. We're going to take the left split here and head around the left side of this large hill. Okay, here's where I leave this left split road. Actually, it'll lead down to CC Spring Road below, but that's a little further down than I want to go. So I'm going to take off across the left base of this huge hill that we looked at earlier and round it and look for that summit approach I saw during the Landmark Bluff circuit the other day. Okay, here's the west side of that huge hill. And yeah, it looks like you could get up to the summit there, except it gets pretty vertical near the top. So let's continue and see if there are some more gradual approaches. One thing that's a great plan B is that the next canyon is Chute Canyon, and I know there's a gradual summit approach chute up that canyon, but let's take a look at this canyon as it as we get around this hill. Okay, the canyon I called gradual summit approach canyon right here. Shallow, but yeah, look at this wall. There it is, about halfway up the canyon. Unbroken. So, okay, it's not gradual summit approach canyon. You could potentially get up this hill, but wow, looks like it gets pretty steep up there. Loose rock, ledges. From here, it doesn't look so horrible, but when you're up there, that's going to be fairly steep. So, plan B. Let's round this cliff edge into Chute Canyon, which on the map looked really good for a summit approach. A little further than I planned to go, but hey, if it does it, then it's worth it. Well, here we are. We finally have connected with what I'll call Chute Canyon Road because it leads up into Chute Canyon, and the chute may actually be right up here in the canyon. It's the gradual, or at least the most gradual, doesn't look entirely gradual, most gradual summit approach gully for Landmark Bluff. So let's head up this road and see how far it gets us up to that chute up there. Here we go. And by the way, let's just do a quick 360 so you can see the west side of Landmark Bluff. This is along the what I called the gradual summit approach canyon, which no, I don't think it lives up to that name. Here's the terrain that we have traversed on the west side of Landmark Bluff. And I've probably got 2.5 hours into this at this point. Nopa Range in the center. What I believe are the Black Mountains at ridgeline, eastern border of Death Valley. And around to the Charleston Wilderness, kind of hidden in the clouds there. There are the high peaks under the clouds. One thing you can see is there is a cliff feature that's on the Wilson Ridge right above the Bridge Mountain Trailhead on Rocky Gap Road. And then that high point on the Wilson Ridge just to the left is Red Rock Summit. So I'll give you a little idea where we are here. And then there's the canyon I call Northwest Canyon on Landmark Bluff. And then again, here is Chute Canyon. We'll see if it actually does have a chute that will lead up to the bluff summit, but I do see some vertical points up there. At least we'll go as far as we can. So here we go. Well, if you've wondered how far Chute Canyon Road will get you up the canyon, here is your answer. We're about at the end of the road here. There's the canyon continuing upward. And that must be the summit up there. We don't know for sure, but it's got to be a likely candidate. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue on up. I call it Chute Canyon because it's like a chute, like the Chutes and Ladders game. So it's heading up, hopefully to the summit. Let's continue. And just to complete the 360-degree view, here's the other side of the canyon, the north side. And there you're looking at the Charleston Wilderness, the high peaks there in the clouds. There's Griffith Peak on the left, Harris Mountain on the right, and then Charleston Peak would be to the left of Griffith Peak, and it is hidden in the clouds right now. And then looking down what I call Chute Canyon Road. And I guess I didn't get the high points on the south side of the canyon. There you go. Pretty imposing cliff action there. Okay, let's head up this chute. Okay, now we descend into the canyon and then head up the canyon as far as we can go. Well, here's a good sign. Looks like a little trail. Wouldn't it be great if I could take this all the way to the summit? Maybe there's a direct route that just goes right up this, or maybe you stay in the canyon. We're going to find out. So let's go ahead and continue on this little trail slash, I don't know, divot in the rocks. Okay, here's a look up the chute, and it's beginning to just feel like a summit. I could be wrong, we'll see. And cliffs all around. And a look down the chute. More cliffs. This is the south side cliffs. Pretty amazing. Okay, let's continue on up. And so far it has been a nice walk. Haven't hit any real barriers, just a lot of stuff to climb over. So, and not that much of a climb really. So onward and upward. and move over any canyon named Icebox Canyon, because this first day in December, wow, this is another definition of an ice box. It's got to be under 30 degrees here. Time to check in again. You're looking down the chute, and that icy wind is just roaring up this chute. Let's look around, see what we can see. You see the cliffs on the south side, and wow, it looks like things are leveling off toward a summit. Wouldn't that be great? Every time I think I'm at a summit, I look ahead and it winds around more. But wow, look at this. Looks like somebody got impatient and just headed up that way. Not a bad idea, actually. Okay, and then looking around down the chute again. So yeah, let's continue on toward the summit. I think we're getting close. Time to check in again. There, we're looking down the chute. And surprisingly, we are close to the summit. There's a little deviation that heads right up this hill, and I'm going to take it to avoid all the rocks. Well, maybe I'll stay in the chute just to get the full chute experience. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. A lot of brush and boulders in that chute, but let's get the full chute experience. Descend back down into the chute here. Here we go. Well, great news, things are leveling off up here. We are on the final summit slope. Let's get a look at that canyon, which you do not want to miss. Don't want to be wandering around the summit and miss this canyon. You see there's kind of a V there, and then that cliff, and then you're heading straight down toward Pahrump in the distance. So we're going to return that way. We're only going to have time today to just tag the summit, because it's a short day. I want to get back. I don't want to be in a canyon like this when the lights go out, which could happen on a short day like this. So let's continue on up, look at the summit, and then turn around. Well, here we are on the summit of Landmark Bluff. Wow, sheer cliffs, definitely, all around. Well, at least on the east side. Get a quick 360-degree view, then I'll point some things out. Okay, let's point a few things out. There's the Mount Charleston Wilderness. Charleston Peak on the left, Griffith Peak on the right. And then moving down, there's Saddle to Harris Mountain. And yeah, Harris Mountain, Mummy Mountain. Now, these are at the summit of Lovell Canyon, and Sexton Ridge leads up to Griffith Peak. Wilson Ridge leads up to Mummy Mountain. Let's see if we can trace that. Sexton Ridge to Griffith Peak. Wilson Ridge to Harris Mountain. Let's go down the Wilson Ridge. There's that cliff above Rocky Gap Road and the Bridge Mountain Trailhead. And to the left of that cliff is Red Rock Summit, and then you see a couple peaks there. I call those the mini Matterhorn peaks, South Peak and North Peak. And then looking along the Wilson Ridge, and let's see, let's look down here. I think we're looking at the, there's a road that leads off of Lovell Canyon Road, takes a left, and that's kind of in the area of CC Spring Road. Could be that. I think CC Spring Road is further on. Yeah, it is further. Oops, sorry, I'm moving all around here, aren't I? Here we're tracing Lovell Canyon Road. This road is Salt Grass Road. It intersects Lovell Canyon Road. You can head up Salt Grass Road and then go straight up that canyon to Mount Wilson's summit on the Rainbow Mountains Upper Crest Ridgeline. And there's Mount Wilson's summit right there. And then you can see Lovell Canyon Road below. Above is the Rainbow Mountains Upper Crest Ridgeline. Then over to Mountain Spring. There's Potosi Mountain. Let's look a little further this way. Ah, yes. Rainbow Spring Road, where the Beast is parked, is right down in this area, connects with Lovell Canyon Road. Let's see if we can nail that. There it is. Can we actually see the Beast? Maybe you can see it. I've got a lot of glare on the screen. Yeah, right in the center there would be the Beast. Boy, it seems small down there. Long way from home. Okay, and then circling around here, there's the Nopa Range. Black Mountains on the east side of Death Valley. And let's zero in on it if we can. Telescope Peak in the dim distance over the Black Mountains. And to the right of Telescope Peak, and I can't see anything because of the glare on the screen. I'm just hoping that you're seeing Telescope Peak. To the right is Wild Rose Peak. And I guess you'd see Auguberry Point, Skidoo, all of that's down there. And then back to the Mount Charleston Wilderness. We need to make a beeline back to the beast so we're not stuck up in on a summit when the lights go out. Of course, the sign that you want to see to lead you down. If you're ever up here, you forgot the way down, just look at that cliff there, and that is the south side of the chute in Chute Canyon. So there you have it. The wind is roaring. It is super cold, so I'm headed back. Okay, for the records, if you're looking for the chute, you're up on Landmark Bluff and you forgot the way down, look for this arrow where the chute splits. There's an arrow pointer, really nice feature, and then you can see the cliff along the south side of the chute. So let's head down the chute. There we're looking up the chute. The good news is that coming down was a lot faster and it was not that difficult. You just got to watch your step. I do a lot of running off-road and my ankles are strong. I'm wearing tennis shoes, or not tennis shoes. I'm wearing trail shoes, Nike trail shoes, and so you got to have. There are no ankle protections on these shoes. You've got to have strong ankles, and that's where it comes into play that I run off-road at least 4 days a week. Keep my ankles strong. Anyway. Yeah, and I haven't been running down this canyon, but very carefully walking. But it was fast. And just to know where to emerge from the canyon, see this little hill? When you see this hill, on top of that hill is Chute Canyon Road. So we're going to top this little hill, hit Chute Canyon Road, and continue down. Here we go. Okay, now we're on top of this little hill that we saw earlier, looking up the chute. And let's connect with the road. And by the way, yeah, there's a Mount Charleston Wilderness on the right. And then looking down Chute Canyon, let's find that road. And here we are, the top of Chute Canyon Road, and heading down. I'm going to try to do a little light running. There's a lot of loose rock on this road. Don't want to wipe out at this point. I need my ankles not to be sprained to get around the corner to the left, down near the bottom of this road. So here we go. I just noticed there's the Mount Charleston Wilderness without clouds. Harris Mountain on the right, Saddle to Griffith Peak on the left, and then over to just the very tip of Charleston Peak in the center. And here we are on what I call Chute Canyon Road. And we're going to head around the low side of the low end of this hill ahead. So we'll be leaving this road in a little bit and then heading across the wilderness to reconnect with Westside Road. and then finish the 360-degree circuit here. Looking up Chute Canyon. And there's the furthest canyon north on the west side, Northwest Canyon. So let's take a shot right up Chute Canyon. There we go. Definitely the best summit approach for Landmark Bluff. However, even getting to the mouth of Chute Canyon, wow, it's as far as you can be from the road system. So yeah, it's a marathon. Just, well, not literally a marathon, but it is. I don't know. It's about 8 miles, 8 to 10 miles, no matter which direction you're going in order to get to this road, if you're starting at Lovell Canyon Road. But well worth it. We made the summit. Making very good time on this return trip. There is Cave Canyon, and here is the entrance to Mule Spring Canyon. So yeah, I covered a lot of ground in just a short time. And then here's a beautiful view of the desert and the Mount Charleston Wilderness in the distance. Then continuing around just to get a good 360-degree view. Now we're looking west. Black Mountains. Faint Nopa Range, bad lighting. Sun is behind it. And then back to Cave Canyon, where we will connect with, well, at the entrance of Mule Spring Canyon right up here, we're going to connect with the Westside Road, and then things will speed up even more. Here we are connected to the Westside Road. Now we head up to a divide and then take a right and take the Westside Road around the southwest edge of Landmark Bluff. So here we go. Okay, now we're heading down Westside Road, and it's getting ready to pass Cave Canyon, this last canyon to the southwest, and then we'll take a left onto Powerline Maintenance Road and parallel Highway 160 back to Lovell Canyon Road. So here we go. Okay, the lighting is so much better now. We'll just pan around Cave Canyon. There's an earlier summit approach to the south summit, and then up to this high point where we turned around. And here's Cave Canyon, and you're looking at the roads that go to the cave. The one on the left goes to the cave. The one on the right heads deeper into Cave Canyon. We'll have to try that at some point, but it can't go too much further than that wall you see. at the upper end of Cave Canyon. Pretty much a box canyon. Mule Spring Canyon. Okay, down to Highway 160 and the Powerline Maintenance Road. And by the way, as far as time, I was on the summit of Landmark Bluff about an hour and a half ago. So this has been very fast. In that time, I've gone down Chute Canyon and then across the base of Landmark Bluff, reconnected with the Westside Road, and now we're closing in on Highway 160. So just an hour and a half ago on the summit of Landmark Bluff. Okay, left turn onto Powerline Maintenance Road. We're going to skirt the south end of Landmark Bluff and then emerge onto that wash road just before reaching Lovell Canyon Road. Here we go. And by the way, as long as the lighting is ideal, this is the look up Powerline Maintenance Road, south side of Landmark Bluff. And then what I really wanted to show is the Mount Charleston Wilderness. Charleston Peak would be up there. There's Griffith Peak in the center. Harris Mountain down the saddle from Griffith Peak and then up the other side. And there's the tip of the southeast high point on the Wilson Ridge. The green area in the background beyond the hills. Oh yeah, here we go. That high point on the right is the southern high point on the Wilson Ridge. And there are adventures on Las Vegas area trails to all of these places. Okay, onward. Okay, as the shadows lengthen, we are closing in on Lovell Canyon Road, not too far ahead. But before the sun goes down, just wanted to look up at the summit where we were standing just 2 hours ago. Northern summit of Landmark Bluff. Okay, let's continue on. And Powerline Maintenance Road now meets with the Wash Road, where we will turn left and head up the Wash Road. Sun definitely disappearing. Wow, what a beautiful view. And you can see right in the center is the northeast summit of Landmark Bluff, where we were just a little over 2 hours ago. Okay, here we are back at the intersection of Lovell Canyon Road and Rainbow Springs Road, or Rainbow Spring Road, and we're back at the Beast. About 2 hours and 40 minutes from when we were up above. Let's get a shot of that. Yeah, we were up there on the northeastern summit of Landmark Bluff. And we were looking down at the beast. And maybe I got a picture of it, I don't know. But there you have it.